Good morning. Please rise as you are comfortably able and join us in singing in hymn 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. We are going to have a little bit of fun with this one this morning. So Matt will sing through the first verse alone to give you a sense for what's going to be different. And then we'll do the whole hymn together, starting again from verse 1. All right? Here we go.
All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. So that's how we're going to do it, I think. Everybody got it? Let's go. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. That sounds great. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks for all that is our life. All that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thank you.
Good morning, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor. I am the Reverend Mandy Beal, and I am this congregation's acting coordinator of the membership journey. UUAA is a beacon of hope and a voice for liberal religion in Ann Arbor and beyond. Our congregation has a long and rich history of understanding the needs of the current cultural moment and then taking action, starting with our founding in 1864, when leaders of the Underground Railroad were counted amongst our ranks. Later in the 1960s and 70s, we supported humane treatment for conscientious objectors to the Vietnam conflict. Still further down the road in the early 2000s, we were at the forefront of green energy by installing a wind turbine to produce energy for our building. Those are just some highlights from our history that demonstrate our commitment to understanding the needs of the moment and then responding as a positive influence. We are grounded in a history of love and service, and we are a people with a vision for tomorrow. After a lengthy vision-making process, our congregation has identified 3 priority areas that we keep at the forefront in our decision-making and planning. These priority areas include anti-racism and anti-oppression, climate action and climate justice, and radical welcome. These are what we perceive to be the contemporary needs to which we are called to respond. Through our actions, we bring alive good in the world. We come together on Sunday mornings to learn, grow, and build the world we dream about, a world where our vision has been made manifest. We're glad that you're here with us this morning, whether in person or virtually. We have 3 announcements this morning. First is an invitation for newcomers to join the newcomer welcome after the service. This is an opportunity to ask questions and learn more about our congregation and Unitarian Universalism. The newcomer welcome takes place in the Redmond room, which is the first room to the left when you exit the sanctuary. If you're here in person, we also invite you to fill out a newcomer information form. If you're joining us online, you can find the same form by navigating to UUAA.org/newcomer survey. Second, we have an announcement about next week's worship service. This is your warning that it is a fun and interactive, multi-generational service. If that's not you, I hope that the weather is nice for golf. But everybody that likes fun, come on. We're gonna try something new next week as well by giving people joining remotely an opportunity to participate. That will require you to have a second device, one that you are not watching the service on, that has an internet browser like Safari, Chrome, or whatever you normally use to go online. That is for next week's worship service. And our last announcement this morning is a reminder about the upcoming UUAA Summer Olympics. Yes! Coming up on August 16th at 5:30. I'm excited, but it was my idea, so. As the world winds down from cheering on top athletes at the height of their career, we are going together for good old-fashioned silly church games on our lawn. There will be a sack race. There will be a three-legged race. I'm about to go buy 75 sparklers. So much more. Fun for all ages. This is the August edition of Friday Fun Night. Please bring your own picnic dinner and a blanket, and we will provide dessert. It's brownies. You should come. This is Friday, August 16th at 5:30. And now, the time has come for us to turn our hearts toward each other and the fullness of life in this moment. We come from many places and walks of life, but we are gathered now as one community. Let us be called to worship with words by Elizabeth Tarbox. And so I say, ours is a story of faith and hope and love. I say it is our need for one another that binds us together, that brings us laughing and limping into relationships, and keeps us at it when we otherwise might despair at the fix we're in. I say it is the holy we need, the eternal beyond our comprehension, and one place where we can find it is here, working and worshiping together. And I say there is a transcendent value worthy of our loyalty upon which we may set our hearts, and its divine manifestation is love.
I am also really into the Olympics this year. I've been paying particular attention to the symbolism, the flags, the Olympic rings, and the cauldron. I learned that when the Olympic torch is passed from one to another across Europe before the games begin, it is intended to spread a message of peace and friendship among peoples. Nothing captured that symbolism more than when the unexpected happened when an athlete was organizing a selfie. He was from North Korea, and the others he was gathering together for the selfie were other smiling, award-winning table tennis athletes from both North and South Korea, two countries bitterly divided since the end of World War II. It was a powerful moment. Peace among ping pong players, friendship among foes. Symbols are important. They remind us of our ideals, objectives, and purpose. We light a flaming chalice, the symbol of Unitarian Universalism, every week with thousands of other UU congregations all over the world. It marks the start of a service and reminds us to bring our best selves to the work at hand. I invite Diane Downer to light our chalice this morning. For those of you viewing at home, you may get a candle or chalice if you have one. I invite you to include in the chalice where the chalice is lit by typing, "The chalice is lit in Traverse City," for example. Will you please join me as we say these words together? We light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Diane. At UUAA, Unitarian Universalists of Ann Arbor, we are not required to profess the same beliefs. Rather, we are bound by our covenant, the promises we make about how we treat each other in community. We don't know where our paths, spiritual or otherwise, will take us. Destinations are unknown. But we can find direction when we are reminded of our commitment to each other. Please join me in saying the words of our covenant. The spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another. It's now time for all ages. Last week, I hosted a big old birthday party for my husband. This was a big milestone. He turned 80 years old. You do realize that there's an age difference between us? We took months thinking about this party. Did we want a big party with lots of people, or did we want a more intimate gathering with close friends and family? As longtime teachers, both of us knew that each additional person can completely change the dynamic of a gathering. If people wanted to come because it was a big festive party, others might bow out because they don't like crowds or too many unfamiliar faces or even COVID risks. We ultimately decided to go with a symbolic number. Any guesses what I would have chosen for my husband's 80th birthday party? 80. Thank you, 80. Close, but not quite. 80 people came to celebrate, and we did have a lovely time. Our time for all ages story this morning is Elephant Island by Leo Timmers. Arnold had always been a seafaring elephant. He considered the sea his friend. But one day, a boisterous wave sank his boat. Luckily, Arnold had a built-in snorkel. After many hours, he bumped into a tiny island. Arnold remembered an ancient mariner's poem. Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea. Luckily, Arnold had a trumpet. What's the tune? Asked a fish. SOS, said Arnold, I'm calling for help. But no help came. Arnold had just explored his island again when his captain's hat drifted past. He put it on and immediately spotted a small ship on the horizon. The small ship was a mouseboat. Rescued at last! Arnold did his best to salvage the situation. As a seafaring elephant, he knew lots of knots. Before long, an old sea dog sailed up. Arnold stepped up gently. Oops, he had put his foot in it again. With a little help, he set about expanding the land. The next morning, a fishing boat approached at full steam. there was a catastrophic equipment failure. Everyone made it ashore safely. Arnold found a use for everything. By the light of the silvery moon, they danced, and all night long sang whale songs. Good songs travel fast. Soon, everyone was setting course for Elephant Island. Arnold was very welcoming. There's always room for one more. But one day, the sky grew dark, the wind picked up, and the sea lost its temper. All eyes looked to Arnold. Perhaps it was time to go home? Hold fast, said Arnold. I have a better idea. The end. Please join me now as we sing our children out to their programs.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are mine.
Once a month, our congregation shares our collection with a local group working to achieve essential justice goals within our community. This month, the Interfaith Hospitality Network will receive the gift of our offering plate. IHN, as many of you know, provides shelter and other programs for homeless families in Washtenaw County. UUAA has a long and storied history with IHN. And here to tell us more about that special relationship and to update us on their current work is IHN's Shonagh Taruza. Please welcome her warmly.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the support that you have shown Alpha House over the years. As Barbara mentioned, you were one of the founding congregations of the Interfaith Hospitality Network, which started off as a rotating shelter, moving around from church to church until it found its permanent home at Alpha House on Jackson Road. You all have continued through the years to provide us with meals, with volunteers, and with much-needed supplies, and so thank you for all of that. Alpha House still remains one of the only congregate family shelter serving Washtenaw County. And as you all know, family homelessness has been steadily rising over the past couple of years and unfortunately shows no signs of abating. We regularly have over 100 families on our waiting list seeking shelter and housing. Earlier this year, though, we were given the use of a building in downtown Ann Arbor. We thought that we might be able to use this as a second shelter site But unfortunately, for a number of very expensive reasons, we couldn't convert it into a shelter. So instead, we decided to move all of our staff from Jackson Road to this other building and then convert the former staff offices into bedrooms. This means that now we've gone up from having 6 bedrooms for families to 14. The bedrooms are done, completed. We just have a few remaining tasks, upgrading our fire suppression system and final touches on the bathrooms. And then in a few weeks, we hope to welcome in new families. This 14 bedrooms and over 100 on the waiting list, of course, is still not enough. And so we know that we still need to do a lot more. So we're still actually looking for another site, ideally on the east side. So if any of you have any leads, please do let me know. But as a community, we've got to do more, we've got to do better, and we've got to do it soon. There is a real pressing need. And so the board and staff of Alpha House are committed to going that extra mile. And we need our community partners to join in with us. And I know that you are all fully invested. And so I'm mostly here this morning to say thank you for all the support over the years. And especially thank you for this morning and the opportunity to share the collection with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shonagh. It's an honor to partner with you this morning. And I will also add that if you have questions or you would like to speak with Shonagh after the service, she will be available to you in the social hall. Our weekly offering is a spiritual practice, which is to say, we give out of love with intention and purpose. When we share our collection, as we are doing today, we raise this ritual to a higher level, reaching beyond ourselves and into the community and the world. We act communally, joining together in one voice to amplify our power and extend our reach. Today's offering, as you know, will go to support the programs of the Interfaith Hospitality Network. And there are several ways to participate. You may text UUAA to 73256 or visit uuaa.org/giving and select Share the Collection for the fund. Or if you're here in the sanctuary, you may choose to drop cash or checks into the baskets as the ushers make their rounds. And if you do write a check, please add Share the Collection to the memo line. However you choose to give, thank you for your participation and for your generosity. I invite the ushers to please come forward as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
Way over yonder is a place that I know, where I can find shelter from hunger and cold.
Thank you. And thank you for all the lovely music for the service. And now, as our ushers come forward, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you are comfortably able. And as we prepare to dedicate our offering, let us hold IHN in our hearts as we lift them up through our gifts. Together, let us say, to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated.
In today's service, we've set aside a little time for spiritual practice and centering. We're going to start with an embodied practice. I'm going to invite you to do some deep breathing with me. Go ahead and uncross your legs and put both feet on the ground if you're reasonably comfortable doing so. And how we're going to do this is we're going to use our hand as a guide. So one hand will be out and the other hand will have a pointer finger. And what we'll do is we'll inhale and bring our finger up to the top of the finger of the opposite hand, and then exhale down to the crevice. Inhale up to the top of the finger, exhale down. We'll go all the way from the outside of the thumb, up and down, in and out, to the outside of the pinky finger. And if you get lost, just enjoy the silence, and it's okay. All right, so I'll invite you to go ahead and close your eyes if you're comfortable with that, or just bring a soft focus in front of you. We'll inhale, bring one finger up to the front of your thumb, to the top of your thumb. Exhale down. And then inhale. You can continue at your own pace. As you complete the breathing exercise, bring your hands down to your lap. Just remain relaxed. We are called together this morning as a people of hope and a people of faith. We believe that there is a different way to live in this world. We believe in a place way over yonder where we create shelter for one another. We believe in a place where everybody is welcome. As we go about our daily lives, there are so many things that tear down that belief, that eat away at the hope that we might have. Let's be reminded in the fellowship that we share this morning, that there is a possibility that those things that eat away at our hopes, those are truly, truly not going to win the day. We find comfort and strength in one another, in our shared vision of a future where there is no oppression, where everyone is welcome, where everyone is supported, that place way over yonder. When we are grounded in our vision for that, and we have reassurance from each other, we can take action to make those dreams reality. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. So over the past couple of decades, at least, there has been a narrative running about the decline and fall of religion in America. Certainly in my lifetime, I've heard about declining church attendance, declining religious affiliation, the declining relevance of religion in American culture. there has been a ton of scholarship and research related to the question of religious participation in the United States. Now, it is an indisputable fact that fewer people belong to a church now than at any other point in our nation's history. What remains unclear, however, is what that actually means. That is still being studied, and there is no widely accepted answer. I propose that it may not be reason to freak out. The disconnect that I find fascinating is that people are less likely to be involved in congregational life, yet the needs that are met in congregational life have not changed. People still want a sense of belonging, of purpose, of community. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, being a force for good in the world. And I suggest that perhaps the issue here is not a matter of people not wanting or needing religious life, especially the religious life found in UU congregations. I think what we have here is a marketing issue. People have needs. We can meet those needs, but we're not making ourselves known. Moreover, I think it's an important opportunity here for UU congregations as people are leaving mainline Protestant congregations over theological or cultural differences. We, UUs, have an opportunity to welcome people with open arms, open minds, and open hearts, because what we're doing here matters. And I think that people want in on this if they only know us. There are many models for understanding the purpose of a UU congregation. If we're not here to worship a God, what are we here for? My favorite model is a laboratory for transforming the world. That's some radical stuff that I just really like a lot. We talked a little bit last week about being beloved community and what that might mean. I understand beloved community to be a group of people living in a way that creates an environment free from oppression, a community where all are treated with equity and valued equally, and all contribute to the creation of a culture that values generativity and growth, which is a lot, which is why I was like, let's just sing this Carole King song that sums it up a little bit more nicely and artistically. UU congregations, our congregation, serves as a laboratory for building that beloved community, that place way over yonder. When we are in the context of our congregation, whether we are attending a service in person or online, or we are attending a meeting or providing labor to accomplish a task, we are doing the work of building beloved community. Let us never lose sight of that. We are bound by our congregation's covenant to dwell together in peace, to search for truth and love, and to help one another. That is how we build beloved community. When we act in ways that bring those aspirations alive, we are building beloved community. What we do here matters. That phrase can still seem a little ambiguous, so I want to make it concrete. We build beloved community by acting within the covenants that we make. That's how we do it. When we live our values, our principles, our covenants within the context of congregational life, we get better at living that way. We are transformed. We start acting like that all the time, and that is what I mean about using the congregation as a laboratory. We practice building beloved community in here so we can take the work out there. We know that the world is a famously stubborn place, rife with injustice and moral failures. But here at UUAA, we find a group of people who want to make something better together. And one of the added benefits of being in a congregation full of people is that we get to practice dealing with shortcomings and extending grace and learning to deal with setbacks and misunderstandings in the context of covenant in here, where we have explicit agreements about how we'll treat each other, gives us a framework for dealing with human frailty out there. And of course, working together in here and having it go right most of the time shores us up, and it gives us hope that something better can happen out there. One of the things that is best about being new in a congregation is hearing the way that people talk about the congregation. Over the past 6 or 7 months, I've gotten to be a fly on the wall of the First Unitarian Universalist congregation of Ann Arbor. And hearing the way that you talk about yourself, the way that we talk about ourselves, I've learned a lot about the history and the culture of the congregation and what makes this particular laboratory for the beloved community so special. I have worked in a lot of churches over a lot of years. In fact, I've worked in 7 Unitarian Universalist congregations in Texas, Massachusetts, and Michigan. I've also done a lot of guest preaching in places far and wide. I have been around the block, and I'm here to tell you that if you have been to one UU congregation, you have been to one UU congregation. Each of our congregations is unique. Even though there are shared touchstones of liturgy, programming, and culture, we have so much in common as a people, but we are also unique. During my time here at UUAA, I have had many opportunities to interact with a large swath of people and hear what makes us unique. That includes folks that are brand new, folks that have been around for a while, and all points in between. I've heard several important and astute comments about what UUAA is and is about and can do in the future, and I'd like to share some of those with you. The future is built upon the foundation of the past and the present, and knowing who we have been and who we are now can tell us a lot about what the future might hold. We'll begin with a quote from the esteemed Edlin, who co-led the spring 2024 introduction to our faith class with me. When we came to the section of the curriculum that was set aside for history of the congregation, Ed started by saying, "This congregation has always had an ethos of home." And when he said that, the impact was immediate and it was visceral. And I don't think Ed even noticed because Ed is such a humble guy. Heads snapped up, shoulders dropped in relief. Ed went on to describe moments in the congregation's history that demonstrate this ethos of home. I touched on many of them in this morning's welcome. We had a history of shared leadership with the Underground Railroad. We took a stance protecting conscientious objectors. I didn't mention this earlier, but it should be said that we hosted dances for the LGBTQ plus community as early as 1970. And we've been at the forefront of the movement for renewable energy, installing that wind turbine in the early 2000s. Each of these moments in our history were defined by an ethos of home. That's Ed's assessment anyway, and I agree with him. UUAA has consistently asked the question, who isn't here, and then done the work to be more supportive for that group of people. And the thoughtfulness that has driven decisions about the sustainability of our buildings and grounds is an extension of the ethos of home as well. Being responsible consumers of non-renewables is how we take care of the planet and future generations. These are the values that we practice in our decision-making about our land and our programming to take care of each other and those who have yet to join us. The same concern for the well-being and inclusion of others was on display in something that was said by a participant in that intro to our faith class. We were doing a checkout at the end of the night, and the question that asked everyone to answer was, "I feel like I might belong at UUAA because," and then fill in the blank. And the first person who went said, "I know I belong at UUAA because people here know that I'm trans, but that's not all they know about me. It's important, but it's not a big deal." What he was saying is that UUAA has a culture that affirms his transgender identity, but not to the exclusion of the other parts of his identity and his personality. People understand him as a person. They know him. He felt known and accepted in the congregation for all of who he is, and welcomed here. That is something that UUAA has really striven for. An example of what it means to be a laboratory of building beloved community. We offer something different than the dominant culture, and it feels good, and it causes the congregation to grow, and then more people get in on the experiment, and then we start to wonder why it can't always be that way, and then we start trying to make it always be that way, and that is why it is a laboratory for building beloved community. Here's another thing that I overheard someone say that has helped me understand the unique culture of our congregation. One Sunday morning during social hour, someone asked me to help them get connected to one of our identity-based social groups. It just so happened that the leader of that group was walking past us, so I was able to flag him down and make the introduction. I was half listening to their conversation while also talking to somebody else nearby, so I don't totally know what prompted this, but here's what I heard the leader of that group say. We're trying to build an inclusive world even though we don't know what we're doing. What a beautiful summation of building beloved community and the approach taken by this congregation. It doesn't matter if we don't know how to do it well or right. We feel the call to beloved community urgently, and we're willing to get to work. Now, there is a danger with some aspects of being in community. It's easy to make mistakes and accidentally tread on people in the name of doing good. When we get it right, where we get it right is the willingness to jump in and try and apologize and change course if needed. Too often, what holds UUs back as a movement is a tentativeness that comes from trying to get it right. Wanting so badly to get it right that we don't even try. And that can be perceived as standoffishness. That's not welcoming when you just don't talk to someone because you're worried you might offend them. Not welcoming. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not advocating for offensive or brash interactions, especially when there's a power difference at play. We would do well to continue educating ourselves about marginalized identity and greeting each other from a compassionate and informed perspective. However, we shouldn't let not knowing how to talk to people who are different from us get in the way. Just try. I have found that when I am met with a sense of openness and warmth, I can forgive almost any social faux pas. This is what was on display in the comment of, we're trying to build a more inclusive world even though we don't know what we're doing. Trying and getting it wrong with a sense of humility is leagues ahead of not trying at all, and that is something that UUAA is so good at doing and has been so good at doing. That's part of the equipment in our laboratory for building the beloved community, the just try it machine. I recently undertook a project to give welcome gifts to everyone who has officially become a member since 2020. And that gave me a chance to meet a lot of people, to hear about how being a member has impacted their lives. In one such interaction, someone told me how she describes UUAA to her friends outside of the congregation. She said, I feel like I went back to college where you meet different-minded people, but with the same goal. I travel in a pack now, even though I've always been the lone wolf. Here is a person who has found a connection and personal concern in the congregation that is vital to the success of any congregation. But there's something else going on underneath the surface of the statement that deserves special attention. I want you to hear me say this. The whole point of Unitarian Universalism is that we do not agree. That's the whole thing. We believe that respectful disagreement is healthy and important. It is through respectful disagreement that we reaffirm that we need not think alike to love alike. That's not me, that was Francis David that said that, just in case, okay. In a healthy UU congregation, there is open dialogue about a variety of issues, and we are not expected to adopt some sort of party line. We are safe to disagree because we are bound by covenants that clarify how we treat each other and how we will be treated. We are different-minded, but with the same goal: building the beloved community. UUAA has an ethos of home. We are a place of inclusion. We are confident in making connections, and we are different-minded, but we share the same goal. All of that comes to bear in the final quote that I'll share with you. Several weeks ago, we acknowledged longtime members of the congregation during a Sunday morning service. I watched this part of the service in the social hall with a handful of other people. Folks were invited to be recognized for membership of more than 40, 50, 60 years, and the person who was standing next to me leaned over and said, "Wow, the fandom of this church is really diehard." And it is, and it should be. A place that can improve the lives of the people who are a part of it in all of these ways and more will inspire that kind of diehard fandom. Beloveds, we don't know what the future holds, and it is only honest to say that the future of religion in the United States is murky. What I can say is this: people need connection. We need each other, and we need hope, and we need inspiration. People need a place that has an ethos of home, where we try to build shelter for one another when our ships get wrecked. And I think that we can be that place. I think we are that place. Our past has shown that we can perceive and respond positively to the needs of the time. Our present shows the love that people receive within these walls, physical and virtual walls, and the love that people have for this congregation in turn. This is what determines our future: our past, our present, and us. I think that we have every reason to be hopeful. Amen.
Please rise now in body or in spirit and turn in your gray hymnal to hymn number 140, Hail the Glorious Golden City, which imagines a place where wise and righteous men and women dwell within its gleaming wall, reflecting the language of its time. We know that no city could be glorious or golden without including our siblings of every gender, not just those that fit neatly into a binary. Please join us now in singing hymn number 140. Hail the glorious golden city, pictured by the seers of old. Everlasting light shines o'er it, wondrous things of it are told. Wise and right
We are indeed builders of that glorious golden city, the idea of a better world that has been with us since the earliest days of humanity. As you go forth from this laboratory for building beloved community, take with you some of the hope and the joy that you've heard here today. Take with you the aspiration of a place free from oppression, full of love for all people. May you be kept well and safe until we meet again. Amen, and blessed be.